All right.
All right. Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight to it. All right. So the title of today's lesson is Revelation, the 7th chapter, and the great multitude. So the reason I wanted to do this lesson is because the 9th verse of this chapter is kind of controversial, especially to our quote unquote Christian brothers and sisters that interpret this verse the wrong way. Now, I was going to do just this verse, but as I was going through, I was like, you know what? We might as well go ahead and break all of it down. Why not? So we'll cover, as it says here, the 144,000. We'll cover these verses too. And then we'll eventually get to verse 9 and clear up that confusion there. So let's just this time let's jump straight on in. Start at verse 1. Revelation, the 7th chapter, and verse 1.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 7 and verse 1. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Okay, so these 4 angels are on the 4 corners of the earth right now, holding back these 4 winds. Now let's get verse 2 so we can get a little bit more understanding here.
Verse 2. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea.
And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. All right, so what this represents here is the east wind. All right, so one of the angels here is holding back the east wind. This angel from the east is holding back the east wind. And all throughout the scriptures, you see the east wind being referred to as destruction. All right, we're going to prove that. Give verse 3, and then we're going to prove the east wind is destruction.
Verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads.
Okay, so hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees. We're about to get what that means, but I just wanted you to see the hurt part here. This is the wind of destruction. And we saw this way back in the book of Genesis with Pharaoh and Joseph. Remember, Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream. Let's see what he said. Let's get about verse 5 here.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 41, verse 5. And he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good.
If you look up the word rank here, it means like full. So these are 2 full 7 ears of corn that came up upon one stalk. They were full and good. Keep going.
Verse 6. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them.
Blasted with the east wind. All right, sprung up after them. Now, Pharaoh awoke here. He didn't know what was going on. All right, he called for all the magicians of Egypt, and these wicked men, and even the wise men of their nation. Because remember, we're not Egyptian. All right, Israelites are not Egyptians. But anyway, men of their nation, and they could not interpret that dream. All right, but Joseph, being a man of the Lord, he was able to break that down. Let's see what that meant. I want to say it's around the verse 23 here. Let's get verse 23.
Verse 23. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them.
So, let's give 22 first then.
Verse 22. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good.
Remember, that meant full. Okay, he says Joseph interprets. He's breaking down this dream. All right, now keep going.
And behold, 7 ears withered thin, and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them.
The east wind of destruction. Keep going.
And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me.
All right, so let's get verse 27.
Verse 27. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine.
7 years of famine, of destruction. Famine is synonymous with destruction. So you see that east wind that hit that corn, that those 7 ears of corn just represented 7 years. And that east wind represented a famine. A famine is destruction. All right, so that's what we're seeing here in Revelation, the 7th chapter. And just to remind all of us here, Revelation, the book of Revelation is very heavy in similitudes, in parabolic form. So you cannot read pretty much any of the books in Revelation, especially past chapter 3. You cannot pretty much read any of it for just face value for the most part. It's normally referring to scriptures of old. And I say of old just in a sense, in the quote unquote Old Testament, or even in the quote unquote New Testament. So you have to know the precepts to really understand what's going on. Okay, let's get another example. Let's get Exodus chapter 10 and verse 13.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 10, verse 13. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt. And the Lord brought an east wind upon all the land that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts.
The east wind brought the locusts. All right, the locust was coming in, it was wreaking havoc. That was destruction. All right, so they were very grievous, were they? All right, so the east wind is symbolic for destruction. Let's get one more witness here in the book of Jonah. I feel like we don't go to the book of Jonah enough, so I wanted to throw this in here. Book of Jonah, chapter 4 and verse 8.
This is the book of Jonah, chapter 4, verse 8. And it came to pass when the sun did arise, that the Most High prepared a vehement east wind, and the sun beat upon the head of Jonah, that he fainted, and wished in himself to die, and said, it is better for me to die than to live.
Okay, so you see this east wind made it to where Jonah wanted to die. He thought it was better to die than to live. That's what the east wind did to him. The east wind represents destruction. So what is it saying here then? It's saying that these angels are holding back the wrath of the Most High upon this wicked kingdom until it's time, until the seal of the living God has been fulfilled. All right. So let's read verse 3 again.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads.
So this kingdom would not end. All right. Yahweh Shai is not coming back, or Christ is not coming back until the servants of the Most High have been sealed in their foreheads. Okay, it just won't happen. But the angels are holding it back. They ready. All right. They ready. So on command, when the Most High tell his son doesn't even know the time that it is appointed unto him. He's going to appoint to these angels, then it's going to be time for destruction. All right, neither earth, we know what that means, just, planet Earth per se. Neither the sea, remember the sea represents the other nations. We went into this a few times, but we can get it again. Oh, this was another testimony for the east wind, but we got the point. let's actually first, let's get the seal, what it means by the seal of the servants. And then we're going to get the sea in the trees. All right. What is the seal of the servants? What does it mean to be sealed? All right. Let's get the book of John, chapter 3 and verse 33.
This is the book of John, chapter 3, verse 33. It reads, "He that hath received his testimony has set to his seal that God is true."
Received his testimony. What is the root word in testimony? A test. You have to receive a test to have a testimony. When you go amongst the angels, we know during Judgment Day, we're going to have to have our books open. So all of our works will be declared. And you have to have a testimony in order to make it in the kingdom of heaven. You have to have a testimony. That means you have to go through tests. Our life is pretty much just a series of tests, right? Every decision we make, every single day, every single thought that we have, all goes into this testimony so that we can be sealed, hopefully be sealed. All right. But let's be a little bit more specific though. All right. What exactly is this seal and how do you gain this testimony? This is not just, giving food out on Thanksgiving or something. That doesn't build up your testimony because that's a pagan holiday. So let's get specific. Let's get Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 16.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 16. "Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples."
Seal the law among my disciples. That's how you bind up your testimony, with the law. That's your good works. All right. So again, it's not just any little thing that you do that may appear amongst men to be good works. It has to be good works according to the Most High. All right. The standard of the Most High and the standard of men, oftentimes two completely different things. All right. A lot of people will call themselves quote unquote good people, and they are good people, good earthly people, but they still may entertain Christmas, or they may still eat the swine. All right. They may not keep the Sabbath or the many other things that, thus saith the Lord according to the law. All right. Let's get verse 20 while we're here. We got this not yesterday, last lesson, but let's get it again.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 20. "To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them."
That's how you get your testimony. You have to speak according to this word, because if not, you have no light in you. All right. That's how you bind up your testimony and get sealed. All right. So that's what this is referring to. All right. And we got another witness for that later on as well. So now we see here neither to see. Another reminder here, the reason why we're breaking like every sentence down is because that's how the book of Revelation is. Like each sentence or clause here, you can, break down to dang near a full lesson, or at least you have like 2 to 3 different witnesses to explain what's going on here. All right. So next, let's see what we got here. We got the sea, right? So let's talk about the sea. Let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 144. 144 for the 144,000 in verse 6.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 144, verse 6. It reads, cast forth lightning and scatter them. Shoot out thine arrows and destroy them.
Hey, that's what that east wind is going to do, man. Shoot out thine arrows. That's going to be them angels shooting out them arrows, man. All right, and scatter them, the wicked. All right. But the point is in verse 7.
Verse 7, send thine hand from above, rid me and deliver me out of great waters, from the hand of strange children.
Now, why is great waters and strange children right here by each other? What is referring to that? great waters is referring to the other nations. Okay. That's always been a similitude in the scriptures. We have, many witnesses for that. But strange children is the children of the other nations. Okay, not the children of Israel, the children of other nations. They're called strange. That's another thing that is, very common in the scriptures, because, the the writer here is not referring to drowning or anything. Deliver me out of great waters. He's not referring to drowning. That's why he said from the hand of strange children. A child is not drowning him. This is referring to the other nations. All right. And the most direct witness we have of that is Revelation 17. And let's go ahead and just get right to it in verse 15.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 17, verse 15. And he saith unto me, the water which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
Okay. The waters are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. All right. That's that great water that we just saw in Psalms 144th chapter, 7th verse. All right. It's the other nations of people. Okay. Because they're likened it to either sea or waters. Normally, when you see a sea, it's referring to either all the nations or more than one nation, because you have to have, a sea is normally compiled of different waters. All right. So we got the sea, and we just talked about trees in the last lesson, but we'll rehash it quickly here. Why not? Let's get Proverbs 11 and 28.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 28. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch.
All right. The righteous shall flourish as a branch. Keep going.
Verse 29. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart.
He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, the what? The east wind of destruction. And the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. Let's get verse 30.
Verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise.
You see, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. All right. So this is referring to saying, hurt not the earth, meaning the lake of fire, all the destruction that's going to come on the earth. Neither the other nations, neither the trees, meaning the righteous men. All right, this is referring to the righteous. This is referring to the elect, the children of Israel. All right, so until they have been sealed, all right, through their works, through the law. All right, and also on another level, if you read Revelation, the 6th chapter, you know that a certain amount of our people it's gonna sound, it might sound crazy to some, but it's here in the scriptures. Some of my people will actually be put to death. That's why it says the 5th seal martyrs. All right, when he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar souls of them that were slain for the word of God, for the testimony which they held. So in these last days, there's going to be certain men, all right, the children of Israel, that will be slain for the word of the Most High, because it's going to become a crime to speak on the scriptures the way that we are right now. It's going to be a crime to keep the law. That's how bad it's going to get around here. And we not far from that right now. They're just trying to, incrementally find a way to get to that point. Every single day they're trying to break you down. All right, they got the homosexual Santa and stuff like that going on right now. In that other movie, Santa Inc., where you got the female Santa and all this different stuff. They're trying to flip everything upside down to slowly break people down to where you can now cast the Bible as opposition. Anybody that reads that, they're going against, the progressiveness. They're going, that's old fashioned, and You're being too traditional and things of that nature. All right, so this is also what this is referring to too. That east wind of destruction will not come until all this has taken place. All right. Again, that may sound a little out there for certain listeners, but again, it's just right here plain. It literally says, I saw under the altar of souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And we also know that, the children of Israel will be beheaded as well. As frightening as that sounds, that's just the case. That's how bad it's going to get. We have to talk about these things so, that we're not shocked once they do happen. All right. So we pretty much got verse 1 through 3. This is the angels. They're holding this east wind away from us right now. If it wasn't for the angels holding this wind back, we'd all been destroyed. All right. But this is strict instructions to not have that east wind come upon the earth, neither the other nations, nor the righteous men of Israel, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. All right. And why is it in their foreheads? Let's get Jeremiah 31 and 33.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, said the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people.
Okay. So I didn't pull up the scriptures up here, but I think most of us know at this time, when you see the word hearts, it's actually referring to your mind. All right. So that law is going to be your inward parts. And we just got into this last lesson. We did Hebrews 8:8 last lesson, but you see the exact same verbiage is used in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. That's showing you that the New Testament and the Old Testament is one and the same. It's the same prophecies. All right. It's not any difference. The Old Testament, that word old, is pretty much a spell put on people to have you thinking that old means old and done away with. Then new means new and refreshed. This is what you should go to. You throw that old thing away. You got something new. You got a new car now. Throw that old one away. You don't run no more. All right. And if you wonder why I use the word spell, all you got to do is just think about when you spell a word, what you call it, a spell. All right. That's how you use words to get people to think certain things. It's a spell. That's what witchcraft is. When you hear the word witchcraft, it's not always referring to someone with a black hat and a wand in their hand. You can put spells on people without outwardly professing yourself to be a witch.
So
Sorry, it's still a spell. Con.
Hey, even going in into spelling words. Shoot, we have on something called cursive writing.
Cursive, yeah, a curse. Curse. You see those words that they just throw out there. And I remember that one lesson we were talking about. At the end of the lesson, we talked about how words have changed over time. That Esau has purposely changed words over time, like the word nice. The word nice used to mean ignorant and stupid. Now they've changed it to mean a good thing. But really, that's why you have so many sayings: nice guy finished last, and all these different idioms that are out, because they really understand what the word nice originally meant. That's a spell too. All right. And also, when was that? That was just Sunday. We were talking about, or was it a couple weeks ago? We were talking about Make America Great Again. That was a spell that Donald Trump was putting out on his followers. All right, to make you think that to create this image in your head of quote unquote going back to how it was before, even though again that time never existed. America was never great. And I know that may just sound like something that a liberal would say or something, but it's just the truth. Just from the standpoint of that's just a spell. All right. America has never been great, never will be. It's going to get worse, no matter if Donald Trump get elected again or not. Anyway, just a quick aside. All right. So now that we got the understanding on verse 1 through 3, and I'm glad we took our time with that so we really could kind of get what was going on there. Let's get the 144,000. Now, brother, you can read verse 4 and 5 and just read verse 8. We kind of get the point of what's going on there. And you just read it like that.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 7 and verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. Verse 8. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000.
Okay, so if the Old Testament was only about the Israelites, and now the New Testament is, it's for everybody and everything, why do we have this here? 144,000, a number of them which were sealed. We saw how you had to be sealed through the testimony, how you bind up your testimony through the law. So why do we have the children of Israel here, all 12 tribes, all right, being listed, and 12,000 of each tribe being listed separately? Where do you see this with any other nation of people? All right, give me the verse. Give me the chapter and the verse where you see the tribe of, what's the Edomite tribe? The tribe of Emakelek, you know what I'm trying to say.
Hey,
Yeah.
most of our people, they can't understand Revelation, so they don't even try to read it. Most brothers that I ask about it, they don't even try to read Revelation.
That's so true, brother. They just stay away from it. I have a cousin. I remember she said it's scary. So, yeah, my parents know what I'm talking about. She said it's scary. She just stay out of it. But they call themselves, Christians and things like that. But they don't want to go into the scriptures. And look, that's okay to not understand the scriptures. All right. I'm not saying that you have to understand every single thing in the scriptures, because I can't profess anything like that. But you cannot be scared to go in it and also try to argue someone down about fully understanding what's going on. You haven't taken the time to even dive into the scriptures. You can't have it both ways.
Bring that out.
All right. So don't try to talk me to death if you haven't even attempted to go here. It's too scary and you don't understand it, so you just leave it alone. But then you understand the full Bible. I tell you the Bible's for the Israelites, and you tell me I'm wrong, but you've only read 10% of it. Anyway, quick aside. But as we see here, the children of Israel are being listed for a reason here. This is the 144,000. This is called the elect of Israel. These are the chief men that will be sealed first. All right, to prove that, let's get verse 9.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 7 and verse 9.
Actually, I'm gonna just have you read. Well, I'm gonna stop you, but just keep going. Go ahead.
Okay. After this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude.
Okay, so after this, I beheld. So what does that mean? It means that they were sealed first. After this, I beheld a great multitude. There's more of the children of Israel that's going to make into the kingdom of heaven. It's not just these 144,000. It's after this that John the Revelator saw a great multitude. After these 144,000 were sealed. These are the elect, the first fruit. All right. So the Most High has always dealt like that. He's always dealt with the first fruit. And this is why you have to understand the quote unquote Old Testament in order to understand the New, because you'll pick up on that. All right, let's get a testimony for what I'm saying here. Let's get Exodus chapter 22 and verse 29.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 29. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruit and of thy liquors. The firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me.
The firstborn of thy sons shall thou give unto me. All right, the Most High is always required to be first, and he required the first of his sons, meaning what? The elect, the righteous of our people. These are going to be the leaders of the children of Israel, these 144,000 from each tribe. All right, we didn't go through it because it literally just says, of Reuben, of Gad, of Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun. It says Joseph, and then tribe of Benjamin. So these represents the 12 tribes of Israel, 12,000 elect from each tribe. This is the first fruit. All right, meaning the leaders. Let's get more on that though. Let's get Matthew chapter 24 and 31.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
All right, gather his elect. The elect will rise first. The elect will be taken first. Let's get 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16.
This is the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High. And the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first.
Shall rise first. Those that died in the name of Christ shall rise first. All right. We don't know the exact number or anything like that of those that will be into the kingdom of heaven, but we do know the amount of the elect that was given to us for a reason, because again, that's going to be those that died in Christ. All right, they shall rise first. Those are going to be the 144,000. All right, it's basically like how you have today, where if someone would ask you, a notable so-called black man or woman, you probably list a celebrity, in sports, say LeBron James, or depending on if you like him or not, Michael Jordan, or whatever the case is, or you may even name an actor, Michael B. Jordan, or something like that. Of course, this is much different in the kingdom of heaven, because all of these men will be righteous. That's a way to explain. It's going to be the chief above of all of our people, not just because of not because of riches or anything like that. It's going to be because of their works. All right, that's how you become a chief leader over our people, and it's also not just predicate off of how many people you can reach and things of that nature either. All right, some men are going to teach more than others. That doesn't mean necessarily that you may or may not get in that 144,000. Let's get Ezekiel 9 and 4.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 9, verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
Okay, so we do know that 144,000 are going to be all men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. That's what we're doing right now. We're talking about all the abominations of this wicked land. All right, that's done in the midst thereof. We have to announce that. All right, those that are scared to speak up and scared to announce it. And when I say announce it, I'm not saying a Facebook post or nothing like that either. I mean by your lifestyle and your lifestyle choices. Okay, and things like this, you know. Um, and again, set a mark upon the foreheads. That's why we read that same thing in Revelation 7 here. All right. So we got who the 144,000 are. It's going to be the chief leaders. Oh yeah, let me get Isaiah 65 and 9.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and verse 9. And I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob, and out of Judah an inheritor of my mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it, and my servant shall dwell there.
All right, so the elect will inherit it. All right, so but you also see the elect separated from the servants there. All right, so that's going to be the elect. We're going to be the 144,000. All right, you have a remnant of our people. That's that great multitude that's going to make it in, and then you also have the elect, the 144,000, the chief among our people that are going to be great in the kingdom of heaven. All right, because you still will have order in the kingdom of heaven. All right, but everyone still are going to be, kings and priests. As far as the men, of course. All right, so that's 144,000, just as plain as I can put it there. Now, let's talk about verse 9. Let's finish up talking about verse 9 because it's a lot to go into here. You can go ahead and I think I'm gonna stop you again, but go ahead and go on verse 9.
This is Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number.
All right, now let's talk about that. We have a great multitude. Again, remember, this is not referring to the 144,000. This is after this I beheld another great multitude. So let's get that. We have another testimony where this exact same occurrence is happening here in 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter. So let's get 2nd Esdras chapter 2. And you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's start at verse 40.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 2 and verse 40. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord.
Have fulfilled the law of the Lord. That's how you get your testimony. You see, it says, "O Zion." Why is that? Because Zion is Jerusalem. We talked about that last time. Zion is Jerusalem, but this refers to the nation of people. When you see, "O Zion," it's referring to the nation of Israel. All right, let's prove that though. Let's get Isaiah 52 and 1.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 52, verse 1. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean.
I don't know about y'all, but I don't think you can put on a garment on a city. You see what I'm saying? Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem. This is Zion, O Jerusalem, the nation of Israel. Put on your protection, which is the Most High, that will cover you. All right, that's the beautiful garment, that white robe that we're about to read about later. All right, so again, Zion is referring to the nation of Israel. Matthew 23 and verse 37.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not.
All right. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou killest the prophets. I don't know about y'all again, but I don't think a city can kill a prophet. This is referring to the nation of people. All right. So let's go ahead and go back here. Let's get verse 42 one more time.
Verse 42, 2nd Esdras chapter 2 and verse 42. I, Ezra, saw upon the mount of Zion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs.
So I could, we'll just roll with that. Yeah. So the Mount Zion, a great people, that's that great multitude. Same thing, okay, whom I could not number. But you'll read that and it could go over your head if you don't pay attention. Whom I could not number. Now we know that's in reference to the amount, but also why could Esdras not number the amount of people? Because it says it here too in Revelation 7 and 9, which no man could number. That's something important that you have to know about this verse. All right, it's one of those subtle things. Where I have it pulled up at. Let's get Exodus chapter 30 and 11 verse 11 through 12.
This is Exodus chapter 30, verse 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, when thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord. When thou numberest them, that there be no plague among them, that thou numberest them, when thou numberest them.
So why would there be a plague when you number the children of Israel? Because it is a sin to number the children of Israel. You're not supposed to count the amount of our people. All right. You're not supposed to know the exact amount of our people. We know that Esau does not care about that. He has a quote unquote census that comes out every 4 years or whatever the case is. And he's constantly trying to figure out how many of us there is so he can, ramp up his plans to destroy our people pretty much, or to know exactly what to do and where to do it at. Really, that whole census, to be honest with you, is about the children of Israel. All right, they want to know how many of their people are too, because they people dwindling by every year. It's it's less and less so-called white people every single year, but it's really to figure out how many of us it is. All right, but let's get a clear example so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 24 and verse 1 on down.
This is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 1. And again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go, number Israel and Judah.
Number Israel and Judah. Now, for the sake of time, let's get verse 10.
Verse 10. And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people. And David said unto the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done. And now I beseech thee, O Lord, take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly.
See, I have sinned greatly. All he did was number how many of our people there were. All right. Well, I'm not trying to diminish the sin by saying that's all he did. I'm just saying that was a sin. All right. They numbered the people. You're not supposed to number the children of Israel. It is a sin. It's in the law not to do so. And that's what David did. If you guys remember, when we were talking about David, I said that he had, only 2 sins that we know about here in the scriptures, the adultery. And this is the other sin I was referring to, numbering the people. You're not supposed to do that. So when we see here, which no man could number in the second Esdras, whom I could not number, why can't you number them? Because it is a sin to number the children of Israel. So we won't know how many of us will make it into the kingdom of heaven. But we do know that we're going to be as the sea, the sand on the beach. All right. I think I got that here. No, I gotta have it. Where that Hosea at? Oh, there we go. Let's get that. Hosea 1 and 10.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Cannot be numbered. Keep going.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power.
All right. So our people will be as the sand of the sea. Can you imagine that, going out to a beach or something, wherever sand is, and going out there and counting each one of those particles of sand? All right, you'd be out there a million lifetimes trying to do that, and you still have 95% of the way to go. All right, so our people will be vast, but you cannot number them. All right, so that's why we see that there. Now we got that. Now let's get the rest of that.
Reading on. Of all nations and kindreds.
Of all nations. There we go. Might as well close the Bible. Everything that I said was wrong. It says all nations. Good night, right? No, this is not referring to all nations of people from a stance of all people, so-called white people, Indians, whatever. All right, it's not referring to all people. This is not the great multitude that we're seeing here. Okay, this is very simple. It just means that we were scattered. Not we are scattered to all nations on planet Earth right now. This is all this is referring to. Okay, let's get Revelation 5 and 9, where I got you at. Y'all bear with me. I know I got you up here, right? There we go. Let's get Revelations chapter 5 and verse 9.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 5 and verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. That's what that's referring to, being cast out, because we're going to be gathered. We already read that. We're going to be gathered from all nations, okay? Because you can find a so-called black man in all nations, okay? And I got some history pulled up for that. Let's get this real quick. I didn't have this pulled up, but I just thought of it. Let's get Hosea 8 and 8.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 8 and verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure.
Okay, we're among the Gentiles. Okay, we're among all nations. Okay, just like we read here in verse 10. Though they have hired among the nations. That's what this is referring to in Revelation 7, which no man can number, of all nations and kindred and people and tongues.
So
all right, Khan.
I got something to add on to it.
A precept?
The book, yeah.
All right.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verses 3 through 6.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 43 and verse 3. For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for a ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee.
Hey, he is giving other nations up for who? The Israelites, because he is the Holy One of Israel. Read on.
Verse 4. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee and people for thy life.
Hey, people will be sacrificed to the east wind for us. Read on.
Verse 5. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west.
Read.
I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth.
Bring my sons and my daughters from all of these places. from the four corners of the earth. So he is gathering us from every tongue, every kindred, and everywhere. That's all.
Praises, exactly. So let me pull this up because I was looking through this earlier, and brother was making a valid point here, and this is exactly what I'm about to go. This is exactly what I'm about to go up into. So when I say that you have so-called Black people in each land, I'm not just referring to like me, for example. If I moved to Japan or something like that, you have Black people just move to certain countries and things. No, I mean Aboriginal people, like they're from there. All right, and they have been there for many, many, many years, thousands of years even. Okay, so I got some Wikipedia pages pulled up. You got Afro-Asians, okay? Now, you see it says often referred to as Blasians. That could be referred to as someone that just, you know, you have a so-called Black father and a so-called Asian mother, but also this could be referring to, you know, Afro-Asian populations have been marginalized as a result of human migration and social conflict. These are also referring to those that actually live in these lands. Get out of here. All right, so you see our people are in Asia as well. All right, Nicki Minaj, I guess. All right, so these are just some of the quote unquote celebrities. This person is not so-called Black, but you know, she on here. But you just have different types of people. And I kept this one up because you see by state, it's a lot of quote unquote Afro Asians in these people of notoriety here. But one thing that I did want to pull up, let's see, I had a few things pulled up. Afro Arabs. And speaking of Afro, if you want to find where so-called Black people are, just type in the word Afro first before that country, and you'll often find where the so-called Black people are there. So Afro Arabs. Arabs are of full or partial Black African descent. Yeah, these are not people that just mix. These people have been there. They live there. They're from there. All right, get out of here. So in all these different lists of Afro Arabs, all these different type of countries that these people are from. Look at all this. Afro Saudis, Palestinians, from Jordan, Afro Iraqis, all right, Swahili, all these different things. Our people are everywhere. Again, originally from there too. Over there in Turkey, you got a brother over here. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here. All right. So one thing I did want to pull up from this though, well, two things. So you have these African Iraqis here. Now look at this. These brothers from there, they ain't just moved there, nothing like that. Now you tell me if you see this man around here, you wouldn't think nothing of it. It's just you standard so-called Black man right here. But you see them adorning the garments of the Iraqis because they've completely moved into that culture. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's where you have of all nations and kindreds and tongues, because I guarantee that these men speak the tongue of the Iraqis. All right. And the tongue is a language, of course, for those that didn't know. It just means a language. Now, what I did want to bring out, though, we got Afro-Iranians. Now, check this out. This is in Mexico. Want to see the first free African town in Americas? Go to Mexico, because you know Mexico is in South America, still classified as America. Now look at this brother here. This brother here is named El Yanga. All right. So he fought around this time period to free the quote unquote slaves, but really they're probably Aboriginal. They call everybody a slave. You know, if they don't want you to know that they from that particular country, they'll just call them a slave, act like they were deported there. But a lot of times that's not the case. It actually wasn't a good depiction of the statue, because that statue is still there right now. Look at this. This brother look like Don Cheadle, man. Look at this. This is in Mexico right now. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is more than likely, El Yanga is more than likely an Aboriginal person from there, from Mexico. All right, so we're scattered everywhere, even in Mexico. And most brothers know about the quote unquote Afro Mexicans too, as well. That's how I came upon this brother right here. He got a lot of history. So this is just an example. All right, because it said that he was a prince. So, you know, from what I know about slaves, you wouldn't have too many princes among slaves. So I don't know how he could have been just a slave if he was a prince from his respective tribe. So it's just an example. All right, that could be its own lesson in its own. From see, most famous Black heroes, Yanga. So descendant of a group of slaves, yeah, sure, could have been, but it's whatever, man. The point is, though, our people are scattered everywhere. Okay, so when it says that here in Revelation, let me go back. Here in Revelation 7, of all nations, that's literal. We're literally in every nation, not just move there. You could find 10, 12 so-called Black people, sometimes in the thousands. Like I was looking at those wiki pages, and you know, some of them estimate our numbers to be in the hundreds of thousands to millions in countries that you wouldn't think so-called Black people are even at. All right, we are scattered. All right, let's get Ezekiel 20 and 32.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20 and verse 32. It reads, "And that which cometh in your mind shall not be at all, that you say we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone."
That's not what I wanted. Salakia. It's in this chapter. We're 30. Verse 34.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20 and verse 34. "And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out."
I will bring you out from the people of all nations. Another word for of at times will be from all nations of people. All right. From the people, and gather you from out of the countries wherein you are scattered. All right. That was a curse for our people in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 64th verse, that if we didn't keep the commandments, we would be scattered amongst all nations of people. All right. We've talked about that numerous times. Remember we just talked about how you have the 12 tribes being listed here, being sealed. And then what do you see here? A servant of God, the Lord, quote unquote, Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Abroad means everywhere. The 12 tribes are scattered everywhere. A lot of people that we think were so-called white in history were really our people. A lot of places you think we're not at, we are at. And why don't you hear more about that? Because they don't want you to know that your people are all over the place. And not just in Africa too, you know, in European countries as well. All right, that's what we were going into. We went into a lot of Asian countries and things, but we're everywhere. All you gotta do is look it up, and you'll find a so-called Black population dang near everywhere, like in all countries that you can think of. So that's what this is referring to, because we're going to be gathered from out of these countries to come back into our land. All right. So go ahead and start from the top and read that again. Verse 9.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 7 and verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
All right. So that's why it says of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, because like we saw with those brothers that was adorning the Iraqi headpieces and everything, you know, they speak that tongue there. When you go amongst other nations, you pretty much are forced to learn that tongue. That's why all the people that come from different countries, they learn English for the most part when they come here. You have different Mexicans and things like that, quote unquote Mexicans that come here. If they don't learn English, their children always know it and they interpret for them, if y'all know what I'm talking about. So and we do the same thing. If you knew you had to live in China, you would learn Mandarin. All right, you're going to learn the tongue of the nation that you live at, because it's just convenient. That's the only way you can do commerce. You know, you can't go to the store if you can't speak to nobody in there. You have to eventually learn the tongue there. All right. And mostly you're going to take on the customs of them people as well. So you have to be careful with that. But so before the Lamb, we know the Lamb is referring to Christ, right? We can pull precepts for that, but that's who that's referring to, and clothed with the white robes. All right. So I think I actually, oh yeah, let's get a classic 2. Got this a few times, but it's relevant. Let's get Acts 2 and 5.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven.
Every nation under heaven. Our people are under, they're in every nation under heaven. All right, our people are scattered. Okay, we have a big bulk of our people here in America, but a lot of our people are scattered abroad. Okay, if you understand that, you will unlock a lot of the confusion that goes on when referring to the quote unquote New Testament. All right, because you can't have Jews out of every nation under heaven if they're, just people that live in these nations and not actually of that nation, meaning they are literally not a Jew. They are a quote unquote Gentile. When I say Gentile in this sense, I'm referring to, again, the other nations of people. All right, this was the time of Pentecost where you have our people that would go back to Jerusalem. Okay, so they had to come from all these different countries and come back to Jerusalem for the feast of Pentecost. All right, so I believe I got some more scriptures here, or we could go ahead and end it, but really we got the big part of what I wanted to get to. I really just wanted to cover the 144,000 and the in verse 9 as well, but we can get a few more precepts and kind of close it out like that. Let's get Ezekiel 36 and 19.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 19. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doings I judged them.
You see, we were sent to these other countries according to our ways, keeping the ways of the heathen. We were dispersed throughout the countries. That's what we were just getting into. We were looking at a little bit of that history there. And again, that was very brief, because we could have pulled up everything. Again, they just don't show they don't show our people on TV. They don't want you to know they're there. All right. And again, I'm referring to Aboriginal people. They're actually from there, not just people that moved there, took a flight that's from here and moved there. We're talking about people that's actually been there. All right. So we could get the lamb and clothes with the white robes. We could get precepts on that, but I think we pretty much covered that. That's the main points I wanted to get into. So do brothers have any precepts or anything that you feel like we need to cover?
La.
Okay. And we good then. Just a recap. Verse 1 in Revelation, the 7th chapter, verse 1 through 3, was referring to that east wind of destruction. The angels are holding that wind of destruction back until Yahweh gives them the go, which he's going to get from his father. All right, the 144,000, that's the elect men. And I say men because we saw in Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, it says, set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all abomination. A man is the head. All right. And we know in the book of Ezekiel, is that the 30? Is that 32? Or is it 34? (34 and 31), the flock of the pasture are men. All right, the Most High's flock is men. All right, are men. So that's going to be the elect, and the man is the head. Also, according to 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, the man is the head. So he's going to lead. These 144,000 are going to lead the whole nation of our people that make it. And then you have a great multitude also of our people. All right. And they're going to be pulled from all nations of people. We've been scattered because of our sin. We didn't keep the laws of the statute. I mean, we didn't keep the laws of the statute. We didn't keep the statutes, laws, and commandments of the Most High. So for that, we were scattered into all nations of people. All right. So that's pretty much the points I wanted to cover for the most part. We may get into a part 2 on this, but if not, for now, I yield.